Hello, welcome to a webinar, Readiness for a Data and Analytics Project in a Public Library District, assessing the key factors and preparing for success. Thank you for those that are joining us live. Thank you for those that are watching us as a recording. Thank you to our employees, our customers, our prospects, our advisors, our friends of the firm. We appreciate all of you. And for those of you that we haven't had an opportunity to work with, we look forward to the opportunity to earn your business and to get to know you. The webinar today, while it is in a series of library district webinars, this is a standalone webinar, as is all the other webinars in this particular series. You don't have to watch them in a particular order. You don't have to watch all of them. You can pick and choose which ones you want to watch. But we thank you for checking those out on our social media, and our website, and LinkedIn events for those recordings. When we think of technology and combining that with the library, understanding that the library as a whole and its relationship with the community that it serves, is going to continue to grow and evolve in the digital age by leveraging data as an asset. Data is ever changing, and the speed that data is being collected and the types of data that are being collected and how it's being collected, and more importantly, how easier and more cost-effective it is to collect and present and make sense of that data, is something that all libraries will have to embrace and figure out, because they know their constituents and their patrons are going to be asking more and more of their libraries, and libraries need to be ahead of that curve so that when patrons are ready, or maybe patrons don't even know that they're ready for some of these different offerings. I'm Mike Jellin. I'm one of the leaders here at AICG. And AICG, we focus on data and analytics and artificial intelligence. And yes, there's a lot of buzzwords out there, especially when it comes to the technology. And as our CEO so eloquently states, while technology is important, priority must be delivering on the specific needs and use cases of the organization. It's great to say, oh, we're doing this AI thing, we're doing this machine learning, we're doing data and analytics, or we're using this particular tool or this particular technology. Those are all interesting, but it goes back to the most important piece, as Christian has mentioned. And that's the delivery on those use cases and improving the organization. So we help companies and library districts come up with their strategy, implement that strategy. You may already have a strategy you need help with implementing. You might not know where to start. You don't have a strategy. That's okay. We can help you in all those situations. Yes, we understand technology. Understanding the uniqueness of a library district, and the importance and the technologies and the things that are asked of those librarians, whether that's by patrons, by the community, and comparing yourself as your library district to your peers and those districts that you look up to. We also understand there's some library districts that are shrinking as populations change. It's an ever-evolving evolution. We help those library districts as well, because we believe in the partnership. It's really delivering that return and driving towards that return on investment to provide that business value, that organizational value to the library. So when you consider a data and analytics initiative, you'll begin by determining the specific goals you aim to achieve, such as improving decision-making enhancing user experiences, or optimizing resource allocation. Because those will help clearly define what the outcomes and those goals are as to where you focus your efforts and your energy, respectively. When you specify those expected outcomes of the project and establish metrics to measure them, then you can provide those benchmarks for success. And same goes over the evolution of time. Perhaps within an initial initiative, you ideally would love to be able to achieve 10 to 15 pieces of impact. However, your budget, your time, and your resources say, well, we need to start smaller. That's okay. Starting is an important part. Take that first step and then take the next step. And each of those steps might be a project unto itself. Small projects, great. Most library districts don't have the luxury of taking very large leaps forward due to the financial and internal resource constraints that they operate in. That's just the reality of library districts. But work with what you can, because you are able to identify goals, to define those outcomes, and then to achieve those outcomes because you're measuring along the way. When considering a data analytics initiative to enhance the library services, it of course is essential to begin by cataloging key data sources. But what are those key data sources? Sure, naturally it's going to include circulation, membership information, program attendance, resource usage statistics, maybe measuring foot traffic, certain times of the day. The data exists out there, but naturally, you might not know how to get to those data sources. That's okay. And if you could get to the data sources, you might not know how to get the data out. That's okay as well. We can help with that. But just identifying what are the different data sources that you have accessible. Some of these data sources may be very complete and have lots of data in there. Others might be spreadsheets of information. They could be data dumps. That's okay. Just getting that data is the first start. Because once you can get the data and start to look at the data, now you're evaluating the data quality. Well, the data quality is a key component to ensuring that you're deriving and measuring those meaningful insights. There's bad data going in at the source because maybe the process needs to be enhanced. Perhaps you don't have an accurate way of tracking certain data. Now you've identified some short-term things that you can look into as an organization in order to start to prepare and to ensure that you are ready for a data and analytics project. Naturally, as part of this insights that you have access to the data. Maybe you have only access to some of the data. You'll start to understand some of the data structures, and that's okay. And that's a good thing. You don't have to understand it completely. That's where someone like AICG, who has worked with library districts, we do understand from across library districts the different aspects to these different systems and how the data is structured. Because we have that body of knowledge, applying that to your library district is very straightforward and saves you time and monies because of that. But really through that careful evaluation of availability and data quality, that helps to ensure that you are ready for a data analytics project. There's also a natural technology infrastructure side of the house. Many library districts have in the past used their own servers and hardware in order to store and process data. But now with the cloud, that changes everything. You don't have to look out in the future, how much servers or number of servers am I going to need over the next X number of years? Don't worry about it. With the cloud, You only need to know, what do I need to know today? And a part of that evaluation is, are we ready to go to the cloud? Are we in the cloud in some way, shape, or form? Perhaps some other third-party vendors that you work with to capture foot traffic, to help with the digital and physical circulation, are already in the cloud. So you already have data in the cloud. Great. The data and analytics projects should also be in the cloud as well. Looking at from your network perspective, to ensure that, yes, it'll be easy enough for data to go up into the cloud. Looking at some of the tools and software, which we can help with, but also understanding from a current perspective, how are you able to use the cloud? Can you use the cloud? And these are things that you might say, I don't know where to start, or we don't have a large IT team. That's okay. We can help ask the questions. We can help with guidance and recommendation. And that's where leveraging a true partner such as AICG can help you out. But even if you're not going to leverage AICG, that's okay. These are the same types of conversations, questions, and helpful information that anybody from that outside perspective should be able to help you as a library district. If you're fortunate enough to have a large enough IT staff, they can help answer and ensure that you are prepared from a technology infrastructure perspective. Of course, so we have our goals, we have the outcomes, we understand where we are from getting access to the data, our internal technology. So you need to ensure that there's funding and resources, really internal resources and potentially external resources. And again, starting small, not to say we're going to do and deliver on these 15 KPIs with this first project. Maybe we're only able to focus on 2, 3, perhaps 5 of those key KPIs in the first project. And knowing that that first project, you're laying the foundation and the groundwork for future projects and initiatives that you will be able to target more KPIs in future phases. So getting monies, but then also to understand our resources, your internal resources. What bandwidth do they truly have at the end of the day? Are they ready? Do you have the right resources? And especially moving to the cloud, there's a natural set of upfront project expenses, but then you have ongoing subscription costs from typically an annual contract perspective to keep the platform up and running. You have to manage all that infrastructure, but there is a vendor or a set of vendors that you'll be leveraging that will be subscribing to their different services. And whether you're leveraging existing resources or perhaps looking external at partnering with a firm that specializes in data and analytics to help you get started. Those are things from a funding and resources perspective that you want to factor in up front. So those key readiness factors, in summary, clearly define your goals, assess your data availability and quality. Remember, the saying of garbage in, garbage out from the quality of your data, it really goes back to the sources of data. Of course, you need to understand some of your IT infrastructure to say, are we ready or not? And then to identify from a staff perspective, your staff, those folks who have the skills or folks that are interested or capable of developing additional skills around data analytics, data management, and of course, securing that funding and resources accordingly. So another way to look at it, these are project success factors. We talked about that overall readiness, but now we look at an individual project. It's the same approach. While you may have multiple projects, you could have projects that are done serial. You can have projects that are done in parallel, but you will follow the same general approach and structure from a readiness perspective that we talked about. Those 5 key areas of readiness that we see on the screen define those objectives all the way through securing the funding and resources. No matter how big or small an initiative is, this will be a continual rinse repeat for every project as you look to step through these five buckets. You naturally may have questions. Some of your questions might be, I'm not sure where to get started, or I've been thinking about A, B, and C. We have some new initiatives that we want to do. I know we have the data somewhere in our organization. I'm not sure exactly where to get it, or maybe I know where the data is. I'm not sure how to get that data out and to try to make sense of it. I have multiple sources of data, or perhaps we've been, in some surveys that you've done to your patrons and your local community about additional offerings. What those offerings are: additional classes, additional types of materials that you have at the ready, and those could be just driven by demographics, socioeconomic background, could be trends in your particular area. Try to figure out, potential areas for quick wins. So that way you're starting to get some ideas. But even if you know where to start, but you're not sure which step to take next, or perhaps you're not even sure where to start, that's okay. We'd love to talk with you, help you get you on your journey and having your library districts use data and analytics more than where you are today. Because really, it's all about setting and charting the course for the future and for that library and library district, for the impact that you have and will have in your local communities. Thank you for joining today, and thank you for those that are watching this on replay. Keep following us on social media. Check us out on social media, and we look forward to catching you next time. Thank you.